Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back. If you're not, I'm so excited you're here. Let's jump right into this video. If you guys don't know and are a new subscriber here, I love to read, and one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to read 24 books in the year, which basically, if you do the quick math, is 2 books a month. Currently, it is June 26th and I have read 11 books this year. Even if I don't get that last book finished in June, I'm sure I can catch up in July. I have quite a few weeks where I'm not really doing anything and I'm excited to read. I think I'm just gonna go through the books in the order that I read them in. Again, there are 11. 5 of them are in one single series though. I'm going to be rating each book on a scale of 1 to 5 stars and also rating it on a scale of 1 to 5 spice. I read a lot of romance books, so there is some spicy scenes in some of them and whatnot, and I know some people look for that and some people don't look for that. So I do want to put that in here just so everybody knows. However, I do not necessarily pay attention to writing style when I'm reading books. These books are going to be based on the vibes. If I loved reading it, if it wasn't my favorite book, I'll explain why or why not without giving any spoilers away, but I am not like a professional or anything when it comes to writing style and stuff like that. If I really like the book, I'm going to rate it high, and if I didn't, I won't. Let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I read this year is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This book is about a girl named Meredith who unfortunately lost her sister Claire 18 months ago and has kind of shut out the world since then. Her cousin is getting married, and so all of her family and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and everything are spending a week or two in the summer at their family's property that they used to go to every single year. She meets one of the groomsmen and starts to really like him. They start to become a thing. This book also is kind of based around a couple Taylor Swift songs. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, definitely read this. It's just a cute romance. Honestly, I'm gonna give this a 1 spice rating. I don't really remember there being any spice in this. But obviously, we know that all cute romance books have to have a little fight in them. They have to have a little conflict. And this book, I thought it was done really well, the conflict, because it wasn't like stupid. Sometimes it's like a stupid fight over absolutely nothing, but this one like meant a lot to Meredith, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Because I do love cutesy little romance books. But if you are looking for a cutesy little, pretty much no spice romance, this is definitely the one. The next 5 books that I read so far this year were all the A Court of Thorn and Roses series. Obviously, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but I am going to go through each book a little bit, do the ratings and whatnot. If you guys are on Book Talk at all, I'm sure that you have either read this book or know a lot about this book. It became super popular on TikTok and the internet. And honestly, that's why I wanted to read it. I've not really read many fantasy books before, and this one is fantasy. The main character is a girl named Feyre, and in this world that this is in, I call it Prithian. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce it, but basically there's a human side and there's a fae side. Feyre is a human and she accidentally kills a fae disguised as a wolf while she's hunting. So the high fae of the land that this wolf was from takes Feyre back to the fae lands. It's a romance book, so it's kind of about like them falling in love and whatnot. I will say this book took me by surprise about 3/4 of the way through. I've never read a book that I would describe as gory, and honestly this one got a little bit gory. It took a while for me to get through that part because I'm not a person who normally loves that. Other than that, it just gets a little bit dark, and like I said, I'm not really used to that when I read because I normally read like cutesy little romances, but I really like this book. Overall, I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars for sure. Obviously, there are twists and turns and things happen that you like don't expect at all. I'd say the spice level on this is like a 3 level out of 5, at least compared to what I normally read. But yeah, this book definitely gets a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book in this series is A Court of Mist and Fury. This one is my favorite in the whole series. It's pretty much everybody's favorite in the whole series. I'm obviously not going to tell you what this one's about because it'll give spoilers away for the first book, but it is in Feyre's perspective again. She is still the main character of this book. I would definitely say that this one is like a level 4 spice. There's only a couple chapters in it that are like spicy scenes, but chapter 54 and chapter 55 in this book, oh my gosh, I don't think I've been the same since I've read this series. Honestly, it is well worth it. 3 of these books are over 700 or close to 700 pages, but it is well worth it. I honestly give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I could not put it down. It is super thick and it took me like 2 or 3 days to get through because I just could not put it down. This is the 3rd book in the series, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Let's just talk about the covers, okay? These covers are absolutely beautiful. The colors of them, the designs, absolutely beautiful. Some of my favorite covers, if not my favorite book cover that I have right now. This one is about 750 pages. Spice rating, I would say probably like a 3 again. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars as well. Some people don't like this one as much, but I thought this one was just like jam-packed full of adventure. This one is about war. It's just amazing. You learn so much more about Feyre through it, and the writing again is so well. All of these characters are written pretty well and you just kind of fall in love with them and their backstories and who they are, and it's amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book in the series is just a little novella. I think it's about 200 pages. This one is kind of how the group picks themselves up after the war. I honestly really liked this one, but I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars just because it definitely doesn't go in depth and in much detail, and there's not as much like action in it. And after reading all those like large, heavy books, it was nice to pick up just something little and a light read, and it was funny and it was just a really great book. I would give it a 3. Honestly, I'm gonna give this one like a 1 or 2 spice because I don't even remember anything in it. Now this one. This is the last book in this series. This is not from Feyre's perspective, so it did take me a long time to get used to, and it took me a long time to get through this book. This one is over 750 pages, and it is from Nesta's perspective, which is Feyre's sister. It took me a long time to get through. I will say Nesta's not my favorite character. Towards the end, at about 400 to 500 pages, then I started really getting into it because things were like moving a little bit quicker. I would honestly give this one a 3. It wasn't my favorite, but spice wise I would give this one a 4. This is definitely the like spiciest book in this series, but it wasn't my favorite. Still obviously was gonna finish because I read the whole series. The 7th book that I read this year was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This book is about a girl named Anastasia and a boy named Nate. They are in college. As you can probably tell by the cover, she is a figure skater and he is a hockey player. He's going to the NHL. She's trying to go out for the Olympics. However, she's a partner skater, but when her partner gets hurt, Nate kind of has to step in. This is obviously a romance book. There's definitely a lot of tension in this one, a lot of build up. There's a lot of spice. I would give this like a 4 out of 5 for spice. I honestly picked this up after A Court of Thorn and Roses because I was like, oh, it's gonna be such a light little cutesy romance. There was a lot more spice than I was expecting. I still liked it. Again, there's some twists and turns. This one I liked because there wasn't a big fight between the two like love interest characters. As I said earlier, sometimes there's just like a fight added in there for reasons that don't really need to be in there. This one was not like that. He was always very supportive of her, but it took her a while to fall for him. There was a lot of conflict between her and another character, and he and another character as well, but this book is so cute because you get to meet a lot of the other hockey players in it as well and see her relationship with them form. This is definitely like an enemies to lovers trope because at first Anastasia cannot stand hockey players, so that's why it takes her a little while to fall for him too. But if you are into like the enemies to lovers kind of trope, you will definitely like this book. I would honestly give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. This next book is like no other book I have ever read before. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have heard of her. I've heard she's an amazing author. I have never read anything by her, but this book like shattered my heart, ripped it to pieces, and then mended it back together. And it's crazy. It's like nothing I've ever read before. Immediately this book got a 5 stars from me. Like a level 1 spice. That's definitely not what this book focuses on. It is kind of a romance book, but also like that's what I feel about it. I can't even explain it because I love this book so much. This book is about a woman named Emma who marries her high school sweetheart Jesse, and then on the day before their 1-year anniversary, he takes off on a helicopter to go to Alaska because he is a wildlife photographer. The helicopter crashes and he's presumed dead. By the way, this is all on the back of the book, so I am not giving you any spoilers. 3.5 years go by. She learns to pick up the pieces. Obviously, it was her high school sweetheart. They have been together for over 10 years. She didn't know who she was without Jesse. Her heart shattered. She was just left in shambles. She didn't know who she was anymore. She didn't know what she wanted anymore. And so finally she moves on and meets somebody else named Sam and decides that it's okay to love again. It's okay to want that in your life again. And so 3.5 years after Jesse's helicopter crashes, she is engaged to Sam. The very first sentence in this book is, "I was just finishing up dinner with my fiance and my parents when my husband called." I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I will read the entire book. I don't care if the writing's horrible, which it's not, by the way, but I don't care. I will read the entire book after that. That is the greatest first sentence in a book I have ever read. This book has 2 main sections, the before section and the after section. However, the before section is split in 2. The first part is before, Emma and Jesse, or how to fall in love and fall to pieces. And then the second before is Emma and Sam, or how to put yourself back together. The after section says both, or how to put everything you love at risk. While I was reading it, I just put myself in Emma's shoes and I was like, what would I do? It's seriously unlike any book I've ever read before, and it was just amazing, and everyone should read this book. It's a definite 5 out of 5 stars from me. Everyone should read this book. It is time again for the scripture of the video. The scripture comes from Hebrews chapters 8 verse 10. It says, "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my laws into their minds and write them on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people." I honestly just wanted to throw that scripture in here because it's about writing, and this is a video about books, so obviously it kind of relates and ties in together, but I also just like that scriptures. That one was just a little fun one since it kind of relates to the video. So let's get back to seeing what books I read this year. The next 2 books I read are actually from the same author. The first one is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is about a woman named Catalina Martin who went through a hard breakup when she was living in Spain, moved to America, has been there for I think 4 or 5 years, and basically made up this lie to her family back in Spain that she was bringing her American boyfriend, which she does not have, back to her cousin's wedding in Spain. So she's like desperately searching for a boyfriend. Adam Blackford volunteers to be her boyfriend for the weekend, and she's like, no, absolutely not. I don't like you. You don't like me. This is definitely an enemies to lovers. It's a romance, so obviously we know what's gonna happen. I just kind of kept getting hooked in. There was a lot of like built up tension. This is definitely a slow burn romance, which is my cup of tea. That is my favorite kind of romance. And I think the spice level, I would give it like a 3. And then I picked up another book that was on my shelf that I'd had for a little while and been wanting to read, called The American Roommate Experience. And I realized I should have put this together. First of all, because the covers are very similar. Second of all, because it says the author's name in big old letters on the bottom. But I didn't put this together. This is a book about a girl named Rosie and a boy named Lucas. Rosie in this book is Catalina's best friend. So I started reading this book and I was like, huh, Rosie must just be like a popular name for people in books, because I swear I just read a book with a Rosie as a character. And then Lucas comes into play and he's like, oh yeah, my little cousin Catalina. And I was like, wait, that's really weird, because the book that I just read was about a girl named Catalina and she did have a cousin named Lucas. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally stupid. This is the same author and obviously it's about characters that were in the other book. Like, I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. It didn't take me like that long, but I mean, I was in chapter 2 or 3 and I hadn't realized it yet. Anyway, I really liked this one. I would give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Probably the same, like, I would give this one a level 2 spice. Like I said, The American Roommate Experiment is about a woman named Rosie who left her very like well-paying, very steady corporate job to become a romance writer. While she was in this corporate job, she wrote her first romance book kind of in secret. It did really, really well, enough to inspire her to quit her corporate job and follow her dream. However, when she's writing her second book, she just is in a stump. She's in a writer's block, doesn't know what to write. And on top of that, her apartment has a major issue, so she can't stay there. So while Catalina and Aaron are on their honeymoon, she tries to get a hold of Catalina. She doesn't pick up. So she goes to her apartment and basically is gonna live there for a little bit. Catalina won't care, whatever. Catalina already booked that apartment to her cousin Lucas, who Rosie has had a crush on for a long time, and they didn't get to meet at Catalina and Aaron's wedding. This is a fake dating trope. Lucas suggests that they go on a series of fake dates so that Rosie can get over her writer's block. It's very evident that they both like each other throughout the whole book, but it is a little bit of a slow burn. There is some conflict in this book, but it's like well done conflict. Honestly, this is just a great book, and I would give this book another 4 out of 5 stars. The last book that I have read so far this year is Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus. If you guys have never read any of Karen McManus's books, I strongly recommend it. This is a murder mystery book, which is like my second favorite type of book to read. But this one is about a girl named Bryn who, when she was in 8th grade, one of her teachers was found dead behind the school. The police kind of brushed it off. They made like an easy explanation, and then Bryn ended up moving away for 4 years. 4 years later, she is a senior in high school and she has to come back. She has to mend some friendships that were broken and able to help solve this murder because she starts as an intern on a show called Motive, which is a true crime show. So she runs the idea by her boss of Mr. Larkin. She's trying to solve this mystery while also trying to repair some old friendships. Obviously, there's a lot of conflict in this book, but this book does have a little bit of a romance aspect as well, which I love. I love when books and movies and shows aren't really focused around romance, but they have romance in them. Honestly, I would give this book another 4 out of 5 stars. Her books are absolutely amazing. All of them, honestly, are absolutely amazing. And like I said, if you have not read any of her books before, you definitely need to go read it. But this one is a great book, and I definitely recommend that you read it, especially if this is the kind of book that you like. So that is all that I have for you today. Those are the 11 books that I've read this year. Honestly, I loved all of them. I would really recommend every single one of them, but obviously my favorite were the ACOTAR series and One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just can't get over it. You please go read that book, please. If you do anything after this video, if you take anything from this video, it is that you need to read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because it is an absolutely amazing book. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please tell me your favorite book in the comments and books that you think I would like or that I should read. I am always looking for new book suggestions. If you have made it this far, comment 3 book emojis so that I know. If you have made it to the end, thank you so much. It really means the world to me. With that being said, I will see you in the next video. Bye!